Welcome back to Josh Bearhart's Reading Room. I'm Josh Bearhart Hawk, author of The Journal, GPS Signal Lost, and Legends and Tales Creepy and Fun Stories to Tell Around the Campfire. Today we're picking up where we left off with The Journal. We're reading Chapter 11, last week was Chapter 10, and last week was a Josh chapter. It followed Josh as he went through the barn and found some really creepy stuff underneath the barn and some different rooms and just some overall stuff that you don't want to find underneath the barn, right? So at the end of the chapter, he wound up picking up the journal and finding that there was a bunch more entries in it, so we're going to go ahead and read through those entries today with Chapter 11. So Chapter 11 is titled, Please Forgive Me. I didn't ask for any of this. August 15th, 1964. I didn't ask for any of this. After a trip to the Southside Diner, where a note was left on my bill, 8:30 p.m., I'll call your office, I know her, we had a call with someone who I am sure had to be watching me as I ate. They didn't tell us who they were, but they did provide a name, Alex Young. Samantha was able to set up equipment to record the call, so we at least have that for the record. James and I went out to Mr. Young's farm to speak to him, as the unnamed caller reported that he had seen Persephone and a man about a month ago. But we didn't really get any new info. Mr. Young did seem a little off, though, and my instincts told me there was something wrong. As we were leaving the farm, I noticed what appeared to be a red dress blowing in the wind on the door of the barn in the back. James didn't like the idea of me going back out there, but I had a hunch Persephone was there. Going back out last night, under the cover of darkness, of course, I discovered more than I bargained for. He was keeping girls in cages. I wanted to free them, but I think my light, or James as it turns out he followed me, alerted Mr. Young to my presence, and he came into the barn before I could do anything. James threw a rock outside, which drew Young's attention and allowed me to slip out. I didn't know James would be there, or I would have done things much different. I spoke to Harold, an old friend that works for the FBI, a couple of hours ago, and what I found out about what I found, and he is going to put together a team today to try and help. I'm honestly over this whole case, but that could just be the tiredness setting in. I'm going to get some sleep and add more details once I wake up. August 16th, 1964. Harold let me know that they raided the farm this morning and found 15 girls locked away in cages throughout the barn. Alex Young was arrested, and Harold expects the case will be a slam dunk for any prosecutor. As amazing as that news is, I was slightly irritated to hear that Persephone was not among the girls rescued. Harold said that he would try and find a way for me to get in and speak to Mr. Young, though he isn't sure it will be possible given the circumstances. I did see something in that barn that has been bugging me ever since I got back. A metal ring on the floor below a wagon I was hiding under. It looked to me like a handle to pull on for one of those trap doors that leads to a cellar or a basement in some houses, but I couldn't be sure. I can't go back right now, as the place is still an active crime scene, and will be for at least the next couple of months. So I would just have to wait and see what else I can figure out. I was so sure Persephone would be in that barn. I know Dee is going to want an update, especially after she sees the story in the news about the barn being raided, but I don't know what to tell her. I have actively avoided missing persons cases for this exact reason. I find myself getting way too emotionally involved, and the guilt is beginning to pile up since I haven't been able to find her. Samantha has been amazingly upbeat and helpful through this all. She's gone out of her way the past few days to check on me and just listen to my rambling. I don't deserve someone so kind. James came by last night after I woke up to talk more about what we found and figure out where to go from next. I appreciate his desire to help with the case that he volunteered me for, but he is starting to be a little overbearing at times. Maybe he retired too young. I really feel like he was the cause of me nearly being caught the other night by Mr. Young, but I can't bring myself to tell him to back off. He's really invested in the outcome of this case, and I think that forcing him off it would really bring him down. The one bright side has been that we have spent more time together than usual in the past week. Perhaps I should embrace the chaos he brings to the table and get him to be more involved in some way. I'm not sure how I would do that yet. I'll have to work on some ideas that don't put him or the case in danger. August 20th, 1964. Alex Young is dead. Harold called me this morning to fill me in on what happened and asked that I keep it under wraps in my investigation. Apparently they found his body in his cell overnight. He had slit his wrists with a piece of glass. Where he got the glass is a mystery, as he was supposed to be closely monitored, but wasn't being watched last night. By the time they found him, he had been dead for a while. This is complete bullshit. The one link I had to possibly finding Persephone is now gone. I was supposed to meet with him tomorrow, hopefully to get some form of answers, and as far as Dee knows, that is still the case. I haven't told her yet, because she seems so upset that Persephone wasn't in the barn, and I don't want to bring more bad news to her. So, I'm back where I started. No leads, no information. My only other link would be the person that gave me Alex Young's name in the first place, but I don't even know who the hell that was. My assumption is that it would be an employee of the diner, but there were so many people there that I would be looking for a needle in a haystack. There was a barn in Danville that Dee mentioned. I could try there tomorrow night and see if anyone stands out. Oh, there was a bar in Danville that Dee mentioned. I could try there tomorrow night and see if anyone stands out. I really have no idea where to go from here, though, and I feel like I'm in way over my head. Backing out and telling Dee I can't help anymore would devastate her, but going on with no leads and no direction could drive me insane. I need to take a minute to be honest with myself. This case has become much more than I expected, but I don't think it is just this case. I've been thinking about retiring for a while now, and the profits from the last case are more than enough to disappear to an island somewhere and live out my days in peace, considering what I have already saved to this point. Staying with that thought, I might as well write down what I had planned to do in hopes that I will be able to finally do it if I have it in writing. James' idea of retirement is owning a bar and spending his days drinking and serving drinks to drifters. He's perfectly happy staying in this washed-up small town until the day he kicks the bucket, because he has lived a full life, even having a brief moment with the love of his life. From the conversations we've had on the topic, he's content and waiting to see her again when he dies. I, on the other hand, have spent most of my adult life trying to make ends meet. The past couple of years have been really good, but before that, things were really rough most of the time. What I really want to do is kick back and spend some time with someone I love. As much as I have tried to avoid the topic, there is one person that I couldn't imagine not being around, and I have no idea if she feels the same way. Maybe it's just this case getting to me, burying myself deep in my head. But every day that goes by is another reminder that I'm not going to be around forever. The other night, when I was hiding under that wagon and thinking I was going to be killed at any moment, the only thing I could see was Samantha's face in my mind. The thought of something happening to me before I told her how I feel is almost unbearable. I need to tell her. I just don't know how, and I don't want to make things awkward. August 21st, 1964. The bar didn't provide any new leads. I spoke to a couple of people who vaguely remembered Persephone coming in a few times before she went missing, but no one had seen her for months. I'm at a dead end, and I don't know where else to look. The possible trap door in the barn has been on my mind more and more, but the feds have it locked down tight. I said something to Harold about it, but he said they hadn't discovered any door or even the wagon I hid under. I can only assume Alex must have moved things around to hide it better, but maybe it really wasn't a door at all. As of right now, I think I'm going to step away from the case for some time. There are no new leads, and the trail is so cold that it's covered in ice. I'm going to call Dee on Monday morning and let her know and tell her there won't be any charge for the work. If she finds any new information down the road, we can reopen the case, but there isn't any more to be done now. August 22nd, 1964. When it rains, it pours. I came into the office this morning to settle a few things and fill out my official report for the case, but none of that was completed because I found an envelope inside the door. Someone must have slipped it through the mail slot at some point overnight. There was no return address or postage, but it was addressed to me and the handwriting was immaculate. Opening it up, I found a short letter inside that I will include here. Dear Mr. Borgiers, you have been looking in the wrong place. Not all who appear guilty are guilty, and not all who appear innocent are innocent. I have done things I am not proud of, and I would only ask that you would please forgive me. Sincerely, P. And then there's some letters underneath. That letter would have been plenty to keep me going, but it wasn't the only message today. I, of course, called James and Samantha to come in, as 3 heads are better than 1 when reading mysterious notes, and we were discussing the letter, and as we were discussing the letter, the phone rang. We didn't have time to set up the recording this time, but the call was very short. The voice sounded very much like the caller from a couple weeks ago, and he said we would need to be looking in Fredericktown and gave the name Mark Appleton. I don't even know where to begin. Yesterday we had nothing, and now we have a couple of promising leads. James is going to Fredericktown in the morning, and he's going to start looking into who this Mark Appleton is, while Samantha and I work together on the letter. Initial thoughts on the letter, since I am probably going to have a hard time sleeping. Being signed P leads me to think that either Persephone wrote it, or someone wants me to think she did. This might be a stretch, but it just strikes me as odd that someone would take the time to not only drop a letter like this, but to sign it in that way. The scramble at the bottom is going to take some work. I have worked with codes before, but this one doesn't look familiar at first glance. Samantha mentioned she may have a couple of ideas. Her father worked for the government during the Second Great War as a code breaker and taught her a few things about ciphers before he died. I tried to get more out of her, but she said she needed to run to her house and pick up a few books and would fill me in when she returns. Why are they asking for forgiveness? This was the part of the letter that, at least initially, that stood out the most. It almost sounds like the person thinks they have slighted me in some way, but I'm not sure how. Thinking back on the past few weeks, I can't think of any situation that stands out as someone doing something bad to me. But maybe they meant something else. My expectations for this case keep being turned upside down. Every time I think things are going one way, it turns into something else. The more I think about it, the more I feel like someone is toying with me and has been from the beginning. The timing of Dee walking into the bar right as I wrapped up a case, and the night before I was going on vacation. The note on the back of my bill at the restaurant, the mystery caller who gave us the name that led to finding all of those women, and now a letter and a phone call with another name and more information. I'm going to keep an eye open for the other occurrences. I'm going to keep an open eye for other occurrences, but the events to this point are starting to seem really suspicious. So that's it for Chapter 11. A lot of new information, a lot of big stuff, some revelations there, and we start to kind of see that Heath has a little bit more going on in his life than just solving mysteries, as he's kind of, he's grown pretty fond of Samantha. So we're going to see more about where that goes in the next one. For now, I want to thank you all for watching. If you want to watch Chapter 12, Chapter 12 is the next one coming out. If you want to watch that now, you can go over to Patreon. I'm releasing these chapters a week early for patrons, so if you want to head over there, you'll be able to see that as of right now. And the same is true for all future episodes. So make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I want to thank you all for watching. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.